This is a Cornell. You try it.
All right.
For pastry, when we want to feel fancy, we do a canal. I would never let a student practice with ice cream. Hi, my name is Camari Mick, and I am a Michelin-rated pastry chef. Over the last decade or so, I have been honing my skills in fine dining restaurants as a executive pastry chef. Today, we will be looking at dessert scenes in TV and movies and judging how real they are.
Morning, everyone!
Well, look who's up. Did you sleep well?
Gorgeous. You hear her say, oh, look who's finally up, because they have been up since like 4 a.m. baking. Just the two of them. You see how much like they've gotten done. Like they're actually towards the end of their shift. And then the baker having like little tricks. We all have little flips and little tricks. You see those arms that he had? Yeah, look at those arms. Look at that chest. Bro be hitting the gym. He's very strong because he's lifting up 50-pound flowers of bag. Like we're 2 trays of bread. Listen. Yeah. We got some sleeper builds, okay? Like we're strong. You have to have body. You know, some people got a little sleeper build. He's drawn perfectly.
It's such a big job to build a fire.
Yeah, I've cooked with wood ovens a few times. They're tricky. You know, you have to kind of like build the fire, maintain the fire, and then use the oven. And a lot of the times, wood fire ovens never actually cool down, so just maintaining the temp is, you need that know-how. When you cook with a wood fire oven, you obviously get that smokiness, you get that nice dark rustic color. So flavor-wise, you can definitely tell when something's been wood-fired.
Is the pie baked? Is it ready? It seems fine.
Never made a fish pie before, but it looks absolutely delightful. It did look a little dark on the edges, but c'est la vie. Maybe that's exactly how she wanted it, a little bit more bien cuit. That's fine. I would rate it a 9. I would rate it a 9. Like, it's pretty spot on. I'm gonna go home and watch this. That is disgusting. Cause like, okay, they're not gonna roll through all of that icing in one day, right? So that icing's sitting in buckets for weeks. I understand it's like sugar and like maybe shortening and butter, so it's not like real, but that is gross. And also, like, why are your spatulas just sitting in there? I don't even know. I'm just at a loss for words for this. A lot of chefs do sketch stuff out, but when you go to make something, especially like a donut, they're donuts. They're gonna look how they're gonna look.
I did it. I figured out what I was doing wrong. You know, I was trying to make a cake donut when it should have been yeast all along.
This is totally real-ish. First off, cake donuts aren't that great. Feel free to at me. So you should never be making a cake donut. You should always be making a yeasted donut, duh. And the fact that he didn't know the difference between that, I never loved his portrayal as a pastry chef, for real. He made us seem like we're out of touch.
Why are you with me? Why are you with me? Huh? Get the back to work!
Oh my God. Okay. I understand Carmi's frustration because the rest of the kitchen's in the and he's talking about a donut. But you should never talk to your cooks like that, obviously. I've been yelled at like that. I've been like berated in front of people. There's definitely a change in the times now. Like, you don't yell at your cooks. The most anxiety-inducing episode. And the reason why I stopped watching the show. No offense. I would say like an 8.
I'm Luca. Pastry. Start at 5 a.m. Your section's at the end of the bench.
They're the only 2 there, which is like a little mind-boggling because even if they're only in the pastry department, that's a huge pastry department for only 2 people. I've never had that much space, ever.
225 grams, chef?
Correct.
Look at the amount of dough that they have to cut. They should be working faster. You gotta move, because honestly, that's not the only dough that they're probably making. They have other stuff to do, and that's a lot of flour. Like, I don't know what type of dough it is, but it definitely looks like they're touching it too much, and that will deflate the dough, and it'll just ruin it. So you see how, like, wrinkly that is? You're degassing it too much, and that means it's gonna affect the final loaf itself.
London. You're from Chicago?
He is putting folds into it, so it looks like it's doing like a pre-shape. They will pre-shape, and then you're gonna do another bench rest, and then you're gonna do your final shape.
So that's 6 o'clock, that's always facing the guest.
6 o'clock is a thing. You're gonna plate 12, 6. So you always plate 6 o'clock, you always plate as the guest gets.
No, again, chef. Don't be afraid to just stick it in there, you know?
He's a good teacher. He has a lot of patience. For seeing them plate up like this, which honestly looks like a liver pate with like caviar or something. And then the sliced hazelnuts, tweezing little finite details like that. Super fine dining, Michelin rated, if you will. And just like tucking it into the side, yeah. Some chefs get super anal about the directions of things, and because like that they have a vision and that's what the vision is. For me, I've let go a lot of that because it doesn't affect anything, and now you're just slowing down the plating. Make it pretty, but don't make it so particular.
Just be confident about it. Don't second guess yourself.
Yes, sir.
This is probably just a stage in which he is working for free. And, you know, it's beneficial for him because he gets experience and gets to see all of these, you know, details. And it's beneficial for the restaurant because they get free labor, unfortunately. I would give it like a 8 again, a 9, an 8, an 8.5.
You know how to make shiso gelée?
Yes, chef. How to make gelée dextrose.
How he's like, he goes to look up how to make it, which I've done that before. I've told a chef, yes. And I was just like, let me just go check my reservoir of notes. And so that's definitely happens as a cook. Because you want to impress your chef, of course.
Recipe.
Thank you, chef.
But then he slides him note cards, right? That is weird in my opinion, because in a restaurant you're not going to have handwritten recipes. They're going to be typed up with clear instructions, so there's no room for interpretation. We as humans, human error is very common. You have clear instruction, clear recipes for every item in the house. So you're shocking the greens, so anything that is vibrant and green and you want to cook, so that you do it with string beans, you could do it with basil, broccoli. You blanch it in hot, salty water, and then you shock it in ice water. Yeah. And that just helps keep the vibrancy of the color.
Give me 2 ladles of that into there and just bloom the gelatin.
Yes, sir.
Shiso gelée. A gelée is normally a thin veil of gelatin, a jello set or gelatin set liquid. So it could be like the pineapple juice that he was saying, or like, you know, the shiso, but normally it's a nice thin layer, and that can act as a glaze or a topping, but not like a full, that's not the full dessert. That dessert was hideous. Did you guys see the way it was wobbling? That was like the 1950s Jell-O craze, you know? They would put Jell-O in everything. Yeah, that was that. And then like the little of chocolate sauce. First off, the flavors don't really make sense. We have pineapple Jell-O. We have a shiso Jell-O, which shiso, for those who don't know, taste is like a cousin of the mint. So marzipan, shiso, chocolate, pineapple. I mean, yes. I wouldn't do it like that, though. Plus chocolate sauce. None of these flavors are really working together for me.
It kind of tastes like a,
Minty Snickers what?
a minty Snickers.
Snickers bars? There was not enough chocolate to get that connection. I disagree with everything that they did in this. There's also no texture for the plate. Like you have a sauce, and then you have a Jell-O that's spongy or mushy, and then like that thin crisp on top. Like that just doesn't, that's not wet in my whistle at all. I would rate this like a 2. Because of, the plating, the jello, the inaccuracy of the recipes, I think this is more like a 2.
This is a quenelle. So warm water, away, back.
Typically for pastry, when we want to feel fancy, we do a quenelle. And it's one-handed, and there's multiple ways you can do it. What's really, really hard is, one, just getting the motion. It takes time, it takes practice. I would never let a student practice with ice cream. You let them practice with margarine or whipped cream, but not ice cream, because that's your product. The more you mess around with the ice cream, it's gonna melt, and then it's gonna be no longer usable. So now you just have unnecessary waste. There's a great color on that. See, that's what I thought the shiso was gonna be.
Not too hot, too cold.
This is fairly accurate. He said warm water. You could use warm water. I like to use more like tepid, room temp. He did this to warm the spoon to release it from the side. If you're good, you don't have to do that.
Try again. No, again, chef.
The way he's holding the spoon right there, he's kind of pinching at it. So I always hold like this, and then you're gonna go, and then like that. I rate this one around a 7. It is pretty accurate.
Thinking about cannolis, and more specifically, savory ones.
Like with the mortadella mousse?
Parmesan shell.
Dipped in pistachio.
That collaboration is great. We love to see it in the kitchen. And I like to actually encourage it in the kitchen because, one, I have, a ton of knowledge, obviously, and I want to pass that on to my sous chefs and my cooks, and I want them to exercise the creative side of it. It builds great morale, and that is a great way to connect with your younger cooks and help them start to think about how to build flavor profiles together and how to build a cohesive plate.
Special savory dish.
Wow.
Wait 1 second. This one is...
Shell looks gorgeous. This looks like it's fried well, looks like it's nice and crispy. Looks like they use very beautiful Bronte pistachios, gorgeous Sicilian pistachios. Okay, there's the good feedback. The mortadella filling, pistachio, yum, Parmesan, okay, trout roe? I mean, that's not even the good stuff either. And then what the black stuff is underneath, and then to finish it off, you pour olive oil on the plate. That's unrealistic. No. It's a little bit big for such a savory bite without bread, something to spread it on. I only say that because that whole thing's filled with essentially cream, I would imagine. And then you eat it and you get the crisp, you get the cream. That's fun and all for desserts. But have you ever eaten a ton of chicken liver mousse or something without any substance? Or it tastes good, but you're not gonna feel good afterwards. I don't like it.
That's nice, chef.
Copenhagen Sunday.
The marmalade looks a little loose. The scoop is not clean. So, they're shooting to be a fine dining restaurant. So, if you're going to do a sphere, you're going to do a sphere. It's not going to be rough. It's not going to have this, little lip on the end. You want to clean that up a little bit. The color looks good. And then the caviar doesn't excite me. Caviar doesn't excite me anymore. I think it's a little bit overrated, but c'est la vie. It's not my dessert menu. I think it could use a little bit of texture. If it's a sundae, I want some crunch. I want some cake. Put a little olive oil and Maldon salt on it too. Come on.
Is Sydney's donut, in parentheses after corn.
Yo, homie and his donuts. Remember we were talking about the Easter donuts and the cake donuts? There's technically another donut too that you can have, which is more Zeppole style, or sonos, which is the Portuguese ones, where it's more like a pâte à choux, and that's what that one looks like. It looks like it's a pâte à choux style of a donut, rather, which is cute as cute. They're a little bit more custardy in the center. I would rate this scene about a 6.3. And the fact that they're going for a Michelin-Star, some of this stuff needs to be tightened up a little bit.
Oh.
What is he doing? I'm sorry to stop so early, but he is literally just patting the dough. He's literally just like, patty cake, baker's vet, cake, like literally. I'm sorry, continue.
Well, it takes 12 people to prep that?
No, that should take one person to produce. They don't know how to multitask in this show, I swear. The more chefs in the pot, the more likely somebody is to f something up. At Musket Room, I only had 2 cooks, 1 production cook and 1 plating. That's it.
There's plum wine, and you cook it until it becomes syrup. You know, it takes hours, 2 shifts, 2 different people just watching that.
To reduce plum wine, like all you're putting it in a pot and then you keep an eye on it. You're not just gonna stand there all day and watch it. Your chef would yell at you. And then, yeah, you're gonna mandolin and slice the plums, compress them. That is like a 10-minute job. I've had cooks do that right before service. And then I don't know, this plate doesn't look that cute. They could have did a little bit better.
At this place, the chef wanted the gelée to be like the consistency of Haribo gummy bears, which we could never do.
Here we are back talking to a gelée. I wouldn't call it a gelée. I would just call it like a candy at that point. Like you literally want the texture of a gummy bear, so it's a candy.
You know, he spent every minute of like a year trying to figure it out.
So how do you do it?
Well,
Veal fat.
What?
Veal fat congeals when it's cold.
yeah.
I just don't see veal fat setting the same way as cooking a sugar syrup. You're gonna cook the candy or the sugar syrup to a certain temperature. Then you're going to add in your flavorant, and then you're gonna add in gelatin, and then that is going to give it its chewy texture, and that's how I would make a gummy bear. They're talking about doing something else and then incorporating veal fat. If you guys had the recipe, I would look at it and I could tell you more, but I don't think that this is accurate. I'm gonna rate it like a 5.1.
Chocolate lava cake is not just undercooked chocolate cake. That's not what makes the center molten. You take a frozen cylinder of ganache and you set it in the ramekin so that as the outside cooks fully, the inside becomes molten.
Well, there's actually multiple ways to make a molten chocolate lava cake. You can put a puck of ganache in the center. That's kind of like the cheating way. But the old school way was that it is undercooked. It is undercooked. You actually make more like a ganache base, put your yolks into it, beat egg whites, fold into it, and then bake it at a high temperature for a short amount of time. So it creates a crust on the outside, and then the center stays molten. That is how you make it in a proper restaurant setting.
It's f***ing molten, see? It's f***ing molten, you asshole.
It's cool yelling at a critic. Critics love me, so I've never had to do that. And then now everybody thinks that they're a food critic, you know. Come with me when I go and try this $100 meal. Like, shut up. And what we start to see now in a lot of restaurants is like no flash photography. To not destroy the dining experience of others around you. You know, sometimes just come and eat. Just eat. Just eat the food and get out. Desserts like this are kind of like my favorite. Cleaned it, tossed it in like some lime zest. If you're highlighting something that's properly in season, like I wouldn't serve this, but like this is like my favorite thing to kind of eat. I think it's a little weird that he like made the caramel, crushed it in a towel. I mean, yes, it works, but why not just put it in a RoboCoupe? A kitchen towel, like all the sugar is gonna get like stuck in the crevices of the linen. And then, you know, you might have like a little bit of cross-contamination between like serving. But this is a very simple, light, summery dessert that I would enjoy with a glass of wine. That's just being chefy. We do stupid shit like that all the time. Yeah, I've done that before where at home, when I'm cooking for myself, nobody's around, I do like stupid chef things like that. And then I just like hit it at the end. For the restaurant scene, I would give it like a 7, but for this, I would give it like a 9. For like the berries, I would give a 9.
There is not one single thing I will not catch.
That's Robert? That's Robert De Niro. I didn't know he was that fine when he was younger.
Look at yours. What? Look at that. Look at this. There's nothing.
Absolutely. If we both ordered blueberry muffins and he had 10 times more blueberries, I'm complaining. I'm sending that muffin back. I need a new muffin. Every blueberry muffin should look alike. I shouldn't order a blueberry muffin and I have 2 blueberries in it. Can you imagine getting a chocolate chip cookie and you have 1 chocolate chip in it? I would be vexed. I would be so upset.
I want you to put an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin.
You know how long that's going to take?
I don't care how long it takes. Put an equal amount in each muffin.
I agree with Robert De Niro and him and his foreign ass. Like, he is right. And the chef is wrong. It's not going to take that long because when you're making blueberries, and specifically so everybody gets the same amount, blueberry, chocolate chip, cherry muffins, like, you're gonna do it the same way when you're doing like mix-ins. So you have a plain base, nothing mixed into it. You have all your liners. You're gonna scoop your batter. You add your bloobs. You scoop more batter. You add more bloobs. Those bloobs on the top, they're gonna sink in a little bit, and the batter's gonna bake above. And so that means you have an equal amount of bloobs, and you're gonna have a beautiful muffin. Boom. Everybody has the same amount. And then maybe if you're feeling fancy, a little crumble, a little streusel on top. That chef is wrong. You see the muffins in the corner right here? I wish I could get up and get closer. They're all the same batch and they all don't look alike. You see the mixer? They have 2 60-quart mixers. This is a gorgeous kitchen. They could do it. They can make it happen. It should be maybe a 2-hour project. Because once you know your measurements, it's an assembly line. And if you're working as such, then you're gonna work faster. From the chef's point of view, a 2. From Robert De Niro's point of view, 10.
But you, my dear guests, are not the common man, and so tonight, you get no bread.
No, this is such a funny movie. No bread. I tried to do it after. I was like, guys, I could stop producing bread now. Just serve them butter. Duh. I think this is something that we see in fine dining all the time where it's like, oh, the chef was this. The chef wants to do this. There's this whole discourse that we as an industry and as a society have put chefs on a pedestal too high and like treat them like God. Like it's a little ridiculous. You're trying to say something without saying anything.
This emulsion does look slightly split. You really shouldn't see that in a restaurant of this quality. There it is.
Well, there it is.
A broken emulsion is like, take a vinaigrette. Oil and water never want to mix. So when you see oil droplets on top of water, that's them not mixing. When you blend it together and emulsify it, you are microscopically blending the oil and the water together, in which creates a more viscous liquid. And it is now like shiny and it's homogeneous. If the ratios are off, or if you didn't blend it well enough, or whatever, or it sits and it separates, that is a broken emulsion. And then sometimes what we are starting to see now in a trend that I love is broken sauces on purpose. Because sometimes that's the way it's meant to be eaten. You see it a lot in like West African cuisine where there's like a lot of red palm oil on top, and that's on purpose, and it's beautiful in itself, and it's really fun to look at.
Is trying to guess what the overarching theme of the entire meal is going to be. You won't know till the end.
You like this?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He's basically insulting you.
No, you don't get it.
I weave in stories for myself and like little Easter eggs, but does it ever get translated to the guests? Sometimes if there's an interest, but not necessarily all the time.
I mean, look, the food's great and we totally get all the conceptual stuff, but could we please get a little bread, and some gluten-free for my friend as well?
No.
I hate diners like that. You eat what I give you. When you're paying for experiences like this, it could go one of 2 ways. It could be, we will treat you like a king and we'll get you whatever you want. Like E&P, like they say, like, if you don't like something, we'll make you anything in-house. We can do anything you want. And then there's other places that are like, you eat what I give you. And honestly, if you're in for the storytelling, like homeboy Tyler is, you like will go along for the ride and go along for the journey, because at that point and at that level, the chef is the artist and they're painting you a landscape and, trying to tell a story, which is fine. But I also don't want to leave and go have to eat a hot dog. All right? Like, there are times to tell a story and then there's times to, like, let's also eat. Like, there needs to be a finite balance between it. 10 out of 10 accuracy for how ridiculous fine dining can be and, like, making fun of it in a punchy way. No wonder she went out of business. To make a singular cupcake, you have way too much time on your hands. Recipe-wise, I don't think it's possible. You need like 1/8 of an egg. So she's rolling out gum paste. Gum paste, fondant, it's a lot of confectioner sugar. It's very, very, very sweet. And then when it dries, you can manipulate it into petals. And then what she did there was like take probably vodka because it's clear and dries and it's edible. And then mixed it with some watercoloring so she can paint it on. And then she like piped the grass with probably a buttercream and then stuck in the petals. Honestly, that is a sugar bomb. Like, it's so sweet. Anytime I see fondant on a cake, I peel it off. It's just like a Band-Aid of sugar. Like, you don't want to eat it. I've never made something so detailed for myself to just like eat. No chef is gonna do that. Like, we stand over trash cans and eat. Like, we're f***ing raccoons, okay? The fact that she ate underneath the gum paste. What was the point? You're not even eating it. I've worked with gum paste and fondant in college. I think it's also a trend that has gone out of season. Or like even molding, we switched to like molding chocolate rather than gum paste and fondant. But there's still some really, really talented people who do the fondant if you want fondant and gum paste flowers. I rate this a 4. Just for the sole fact, you're not making a single cupcake.
I made a batch and I froze it, and this is the only one left.
Wait, I think I can figure out the recipe from this cookie.
From taste? Yes, a lot of people can do that. Chefs like will eat something blind and then try to recreate it. It's definitely a skill that you can build up over time.
Batch 22. Maybe these will taste like your grandmother's. This has a little bit of orange peel, but no nutmeg.
Also, who's putting nutmeg in a chocolate chip cookie? Who's putting orange peel in a chocolate chip cookie? Just let a chocolate chip cookie be.
Is this the recipe? Yes!
Honestly, a good chef should have been able to tell that it's not a true homemade recipe, you know, like there is some manufacturing behind it. I would give this a 5.
What is it?
It's a trifle. It's got all of these layers. It's more lady fingers, then beef sauteed with peas and onions, and then bananas, and then I just put some whipped cream on top.
The English don't know how to cook. English trifle, yes, multiple layers, very delicious dessert. It doesn't necessarily need to be ladyfinger. It could be like a cake. It's layers. And then topped with whatever you want. The fact that she put meat in it, listen, I've done savory stuff in desserts, but nothing like this.
The pages are stuck together. She made half an English trifle and half a shepherd's pie.
No, I have common sense. I'm sure it's happened where I'm like actually making something, I'm like, this feels wrong. And then I just go back to the drawing board real quick.
Well?
Don't lie to your friends. Monica ain't she shouldn't lie to her friends. Tell her the truth. And then also just standing by, letting her ruin it, like, y'all not really friends.
I like it. Custard, good. Jam, good. Meat, good.
When I'm looking to pair flavors together, you kind of think in the mind of like what grows together goes together. If they're in the same season, they grow together. When you think about all citrus kind of works together, and that's all winter. 3.7. I would rate this a 3.7. See? Muscle. I think they use too much flour. Laminating is having the butter and your dough and creating those fine layers within it so you have those flaky crusts. You need the dough to stick to one another. So the fact that they're putting flour in between the folds just makes it not want to stick to each other. Also, I didn't see them put butter. Maybe they just did it for TV magic. Everybody knows a croissant needs butter. So croissants typically take about 3 days, but they skip the whole dough making part. So you could laminate and shape and bake in 1 day. You could, but you're rushing the dough, but it still wouldn't have been this like 4-minute montage. Wow. Chocolate croissants aren't crescents. So just no. But everything up to that was pretty right. Like the measuring, the cutting. It was just, as soon as I saw her like cut the triangles, I was like, no, 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 no. The proper shape is gonna be like, you're gonna cut it into a rectangle at the top, one at the top, and then like roll them together. And then you have like the scroll. Let's take time out of the factor because it is a movie. For the accuracy, I would give it a 9. It's pretty accurate. The only thing is the shape of the chocolate croissant.
What is this?
It's a marmalade sandwich.
Is the bear in prison?
Looks to me like you've got yourself a fine pair of orange squeezers.
Orange squeezers.
Tomato. Lovely.
So quick funny story. I worked in Nantucket for 2 seasons. And there's this like big burly guy. Comes down and he's like, Camari, do you need help? I'm like, sure. You know, can you juice these oranges? And I give him like all of the oranges and he like goes around the corner to the prep table where he was. And he is taking the oranges like this and like juicing them like this. And he's just like so strong. And I am like so astonished. And my chef comes down and of course I get yelled at for not showing him how to juice oranges because I'm like, I didn't know that homie fought bears in Bulgaria and is now juicing oranges like this. Anyways, that's not how you juice oranges. You would get the machine, choo choo, and just, you know, go ahead and juice.
Good. No. Better. Tomato. Lovely.
It's really cute that Mr. Paddington is sniffing the oranges to see which one's right. He's just being specific because this is his recipe. And you know what? I'll take it, Mr. Paddington. I'll take it. But for me, if we're just gonna make a batch of orange marmalade, we're gonna use the most ripe. You just want them to be nice. If you cut into one and you find that it's like pithy, I wouldn't use it. You know, just don't use those.
Where on earth did you learn to use a knife like that?
You don't want to know.
His chopping skills are, you know, go ahead, go off, king. Like, it's good. It's good. Like, chop, 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 chop. It was the fling that's a no-no. Don't fling your product off onto the ground. Like, you can't use it anymore.
Same again.
Bro, get a bigger pot. You don't want it to ever go to the top and overflow because you have to clean up that mess afterwards. Copper is a wonderful conductor. So it transfers heat the fastest out of like steel, stainless steel, whatever type of other pan there is. If you can't afford a full copper pot, they do sell copper bottoms, and that just really helps conduct the heat a little bit better. Cooking marmalade in it it's smart. That's very smart. Other than the CGI bear, I would give this a 6. This is cute. And just get a bigger pot or make a smaller batch. This is one of my favorite movies. So beignets, famous in New Orleans, or a fluffy donut, essentially. So it's a fried dough. There's several ways that you can make them. You can do, like we were talking about, the pâte way, or it's mostly common the Easted way. They are traditionally served square and nice, thick, and topped with a ton of powdered sugar. Delicious. She put honey and powdered sugar, which is also delicious too. It's definitely not the standard. That's not super accurate. You know, you're gonna spin something and then do a bunch of powder. It's not really gonna get on where you want it to get on. So, you know, I would just keep the tray still and just like hit it here, hit it here, hit it here, and then send it out. That was just like a little cartoon thing. Did you know Princess Tiana was based on Chef Leah Chase? The fact of her job and everything, not the fact of her turning into a frog. Yeah, Chef Leah Chase of Dookie Chase in New Orleans. It's a beautiful story and iconic to the African-American South culinary history. serving her famous beignets, her man catching beignets. I would rate it a 7, even though I love Tiana. Old school. Very, very, very old school. Everything is super accurate. It looks like she's making her own chocolate, which I have never done. But I know from watching how they do it in Mexico, that is an accurate starting point. So she's spreading it on the marble with an offset spatula. She's tempering the chocolate. In that act, she is allowing the sugars to crystallize and allow the chocolate to set in a way where the snap and crack of what you know of normal chocolate to be, that initial crystallization is very, very important to having a proper tasting mouthfeel of a chocolate. A lot of things could go wrong with tempering, and it's a very tricky thing to hone down on. But like to do that without the technology that we have today is, it's super impressive, and it's skills that are unfortunately lost due to the advances of technology. Those molds are so hard. You need to do that tempering act in order to set in that mold. And if it sets with a nice crisp and a crack, then you're gonna be able to have a beautiful fish or whatever you put your mold in, like she has. I would rate it a 9. I love this movie. I think it's cute. We actually watched this in culinary school a few times because of its accuracy. So when you crimp the crust, you are setting it on the edge and creating just like a cute design in which when you do put the filling in, you can have that little lip which has like more crust and keeps the filling in. So it looks like they were probably doing like a coconut custard, which is quite delicious. And very, very common in my household too. Yeah, the coconut custard is very simple. A lot of times you hard bake a pie shell, but for that you actually don't need to because it's such a liquidy state that you need that whole baking time. Their peach cobbler's like fairly classic, southern classic. You do the batter on the bottom, you do your peaches, and then you do more butter on top, which they did. You could also do like a crumble. This is a really well done movie. Cooking in the kitchen with my family like that is exactly how I got into the industry. That little girl was probably me, Soul food, some collard greens, some candied yams, cornbread. 10. 10s across the boards. 10. Darling, 10. Yo, Wonka was a creep. Processed anything is no good. I think processed foods are ruining our palate, especially in America. Like, our fruit, our vegetables don't actually taste like what they're supposed to taste. Like, if you go abroad, it gets some really good, like, just basic stuff, honestly. Everything's much smaller. The flavors are much more concentrated. They're better. Like, the food that we have here is, like, large and flavorless.
This little piece of gum is a 3-course dinner.
It's tomato soup. Roast beef and a baked potato. Pie and cream. It's the most marvelous blueberry pie I've ever tasted.
3-course meal candy. I mean, it would be cool in theory. I don't know how that is actually possible. Wonka was a madman. He kidnapped children, and I swear they're all candies now. They're all dead in the factory. I would rate this like a 4. 100-Foot Journey is definitely my favorite food movie. Like, it's just like a little romance, a little food. You have this young Indian gentleman coming to the hills of France and learning how to cook. I loved Grand Budapest, the dessert scene where he's making the profiteroles. I think that's really pretty. And then one of my friends recreated it too, which was gorgeous. When I was 7, my parents got me an Easy Bake Oven, and I used it until the light blew out. And so from there, I went to culinary school. Then I bounced around from Nantucket, in Paris, and then I came to New York. Started at DB Bistro, Daniel Boulud's Bistro. Worked at Le Bernardin and Thomas Keller's Tack Room. Pandemic hit. Started selling donuts through my Instagram, and then it actually landed me a job at Musket Room. And then we're now opening L'Atelier Ebene, which is going to be amazing. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, why not check out another one right here?